Okay, here I am again with a video on composition in a new room this time because somebody took my room, and I'm going to do a generic jazz composition. Again, this is just to help you get started on your assignment or show you how I might do it. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the actual task. So you can see here I'm going to compose a work consisting of a melody and a simple accompaniment, about 90 seconds, and then I've got the marking key here. And then I've broken that into a sort of, a mind map, so that I can see what I need to do. And I can see here a melody, score, 90 seconds, drafts, a statement about what I'm going to do, which for me is going to be a generic jazz song, and then some more details here. So let's get into it. So first thing we're going to do is just set up a score in Sibelius. I've made a bit of a start here. You can see I've got jazz guitar as my melody. You could do anything as your melody, like alto sax or trumpet or something like that. But I've done jazz guitar just because it sounds a little nicer, a little mellower, and I like it. And then upright bass, piano, and drum set. Let's get started. Now, my big tip for writing a jazz original is to do a contrafact. So in the history of jazz, musicians have done contrafacts all the time, which means use the chord progression from another song and put your own melody on it. Now, you might think that's cheating. Well, in jazz, there's a huge history of it, so it's not really cheating. And secondly, if you don't do a contrafact, it's really quite difficult to come up with a chord progression that's going to sound okay. It's either going to be a really simple sort of blues thing that you already know, or you're going to end up with a really modern approach to the chords, which tend to be chromatic and have got a lot of extensions, and it's really hard to write a melody. So I would say do a contrafact. Find a tune you like, grab the chords off it, and do that. So I'm going to do Ornithology because I kind of like that tune. So here I go. So first off, key signature, I think we're in G major. So I can't even remember what key we're in for Ornithology, so immediately it's not going to be quite right. And then I'm just going to, using my keyboard, I'm just going to put in the chords as crotchets in the bass note. So I'm going to go like a walking bass line, but not quite a walking bass line, like G minor, C, F, F minor, B flat. And then what have I got here? I don't know. So you see, this is what I'm saying, you just have to make it up now. E flat for a while, I think. And then a little 2-5-1 to get to G. And then I'm going to do G, which has then a turnaround. So G, and then I'm going to go B flat, a little Coltrane turnaround, and then 2, 5. And that would be the end of 16 bars. Hopefully. Where am I? 16 bars. Perfect. Okay, now I would come back and let's just put a little bit of a drum beat in here. So I'm just going to smash a couple of notes. It doesn't matter what you do this stuff on. I'm using Sibelius, but the process is pretty similar to all of this, all programs. So I'm going to turn these heads into crosses, get a ride cymbal, ting, ting to ting. And then I'll put a foot hi-hat, which I've already done. Ting, ting to ting, and here I'm going to put like a metronome marking. So if I go 180, that's a really generic mid-tempo swing, and I'll put swing so it plays in swing for me. And then I'm going to put the Como Supra repeats, like that, which means repeat the bar before. And it also puts this nice number above it for me in Sibelius, so I know that I've done 16 bars. Repeat for 16 bars. Drums are done. Now piano, what sort of range am I in here? I'm just going to do root position chords. Now I might do this later, but this little rhythm here is a great little jazz rhythm, which is really a dotted crotchet to quaver, dotted crotchet quaver. So if I did that a couple of times, you'll hear how that sounds. Maybe one more. Got my buttons on my suit, and I'm like, let's play that, and you'll hear that should sound okay. Beautiful. I might put some chord names on top of that so I know where I am in the song. And then I'm going to repeat that, and why not cheat a little bit? Transpose that down by a major second. That's that chord. Or I saw the double flats. Hey, that worked. Now for this next section, just to save time, I'm just going to put in some minims here. semi-breves. What have we got? A, D. Should I do it in root position? You could do it in root position. Doesn't really matter. And so we kind of know where we are. I'll just pop the chord names in here too. Lovely. Okay. Yeah, that'll do for now. I've done 16 bars. Now, I could either start writing a melody or I could think about the overall structure of the song. And I'm going to do the overall structure of the song. And the reason I'm going to do that is because if I go over here, the second time I play it, I actually need to end a little bit earlier. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm just going to repeat this section. So this song goes like this. And I want to put a bar line there. And if I get rid of this beat here, and put another one of those in, then we'll see we're at the end of the form. 32 bar form, like all good jazz tunes, 32 bars. But what I need is I need the song, or the melody really, if we're in G major, would almost always end on a tonic here. And that means this part here after that is like a solo break, 2-bar solo break by somebody. And so my chords need to go faster here. So the turnaround, and then like that. So these chords would disappear. And then this would be the same thing. What have I got? And I probably would also put the drums would stop here too, maybe. Oh. Sure, with a rhythm hit like that. Oh, I don't need that chord. Now this is important because when I design my melody, I need to remember that it needs to finish on a tonic in this little last bit, a little bit early. Whereas if I come back to this first version, here the melody doesn't need to finish on the tonic. So just helping me, it's important to maybe do it in that order, or just keep that in mind as you're writing, that you, at the end of the song, you need to sort of be able to finish your song. If you don't do that, your melody can end up in strange places and can often end in this bar here, which just doesn't work. Okay, so let's go back to the start. Now, if we are doing a contrafact, or you're going to do a contrafact, it's just a little bit important to know what the original melody of the tune is, just so you don't copy it exactly. So this tune, for example, goes. So I don't want to do that melody. So I've got to think of a new musical motif. Now, the few things you could do. You could just play this tune like this. You could hit play and then try and solo over the top of that and come up with some good ideas. Or perhaps you couldn't take a melody from something else and put it on top, which is often a better way to learn. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but that's what I'm going to do for this one. I'm going to think about another melody and try and steal some parts from that. So I'm taking the melody, I think it's from Love Supreme. I think that kind of goes in a different key. So I'm going to stick that into this piece. Why not? I'm going to make sure it matches the chords. So what did I just sort of do? Oh. So I've gone F sharp to make sure it fits on G major 7, and then notes it fits with this chord. Maybe this is too high for guitar. So that would be my motif, and then I'm going to build some stuff from there. I really like the way this goes G major, G minor. So I want to hit maybe a B flat in here. So maybe this could go, which octave is wrong. Try and hit this B flat note here, and maybe tie that up. What does that sound like? Don't mind it. I don't mind it so much that I think I'll repeat it. It's the same, this chord progression here and this chord progression are a tone lower, which means it's going to be perfect for a sequence. So if I repeat that and then I go back to this transpose down a major second, don't use double sharps or flats, then I'm going to get a perfect little sequence. da. What's that? Oh, G. So I like a G there. I sort of started singing that note there. How can I get to a G? Sort of an arpeggio up. That'll do. What was that? It's a bit. Da 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 da. I don't know. That'll do. Da, 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 da. Now, a little tip for you here is that when I'm sort of thinking of melodies in my head, and then I can sort of transcribe them. I kind of know what rhythms that I'm saying. I can work it out. That can be really tricky, especially if your piece is swing. It's sometimes hard to transcribe something that's swing. So I would advise getting someone to help you, get a teacher, or say, play something for your teacher and say, hey, could you help me write this out? Especially if it's your opening motif, because otherwise you can end up with some weird stuff. So what have I done here? Does this work? I don't mind that at all. And this is going to A. So an A would work here and here, which is slightly higher than that one. So could I just do that? I think I probably could. I don't mind it at all. Okay, now this little end bit here is a little bit tricky because I need to make this one similar to the one at the 32 bar. So I think I'm going to go back to this third. Da, da, da. Maybe that'll do. I kind of used that as a motif before, didn't I? I kind of went, I had an F sharp in here. I'm not sure if that'll work anymore. Was that my motif? Bop, bop, bop. I don't know. Where did I go? Bop. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I'll leave it like that. A variation of my motif. Ah, yeah. And then just make this minor. And then what have I got? Da, 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 da. And then I got to finish on the tonic. So what was that? Da, 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 da. Da. So that's a nice complete melody here. However, this note here is going to really clash with this chord. So I've got a G, which is the fourth of D7. So that's not going to work, but as a melody, it's going to kind of work. So let's have a listen. Try again. Great. Now, I kind of like that because this is how I'm going to end it in a while, but now I want to delay the resolution. I want to leave it unresolved here or unbalanced. So why don't I just take this up to the fifth, da, 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 up to the, back up to this high note. That'll do. Perfect. Okay, done. I've got a melody. That was relatively easy. I'm going to hit repeat. Big R, and now I've got to fix up this end part here, right? So I could go da 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 da. I got to shorten this up. Da da da. Oh, what have I done there? And then this part can't exist. And then maybe this. Does this work? Oh, let's have a look. It does. Da 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 da. Now I've done good things here by making it on an upbeat at the end here, but it means painfully I'm going to have to move my chords over one. Like that. Get out of here, chord. Go there. Da 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 da. Like that. And then this drum. Do I actually want to put a proper drum part in here? I don't really, because I'd prefer just to let the drummer do it, but my Sibelius will sound so much better if I put an actual, snare beat here. And I put it, bang, make that into a snare. Smack your snare, drummer. Yes. So now my ending is kind of shortened. So really I've done a variation of a diminution, a compositional device. So let's see if I like it. Woohoo! That was a bit weird. I like it. And then what do I have here? Here, solo. Someone start solo start. Solo break probably is a better word. solo break, and then here I'd have the solos. So let's save that as a jazz first draft. That was probably a terrible way to do that. Probably should have used numbers. And I go back to my keynote. Look how far through this assessment I am. I've done a melody and a simple accompaniment. I've done a score, I've done 90 seconds, I've done a draft. I've kind of done a statement of intent. I've said I'm going to do a contrafact and I'm going to do a jazz piece. Done most of this. I've used a sequence, I've used diminution, I've put a chord progression. I've even put some balanced and unbalanced in here. And what has that taken me? 15 minutes? And I've done this huge song. Obviously, I'm cruising along pretty fast here, but you know, it's not too hard. So let's just go back and let's see what can we do to make this a little bit more interesting. So one thing I reckon is, I'm not sure I love this little thing. So, first off, we can just make this long, da, da, and then maybe here, in the gap, da, da, so. And then I reckon, right here, why don't we just do a little imitation? Why don't we just copy it? Another little composition device. Da, da, da. Maybe we pop a chord on that. What could we pop on there? See this. Oh, hello. That was a fancy chord, wasn't it? Does it need to go longer? Yeah, why not? What does that sound like? I love it. I don't love it, but it's not the worst. Same thing, I'm going to do a sequence, transpose it, thank you. What does that sound like now? I mean, this line here, da 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 da. That sounds like it needs a little little pickup into this. What have I got? One, two, three, da 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 da. What was that? That was that. Ba da da. I mean, I don't love this last bit of the melody here, so I would go back and change that a little bit. And then save as, important, jazz, second draft. And then we come back here and we kind of think, okay, well, what else could I do here? I would really just want to clean it up. I've got to put some expressive devices into here. And what I would do is I'd start putting some articulation. Da. So there's a big difference between but da da, you know, like this one. Da 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 da. I like that one. You know, there's a huge difference between that. I'd also slur some of these things here, probably back here, like this little thing here. I'd put some slurs to say, hey, that's a phrase, that's a phrase, that's a phrase. Make sure it is a phrase. Put some slurs in. I'd give it some dynamics, so probably MF on my way through here. I reckon I would put a walking bass line in now. So, sorry if it's getting hit in there. With walking bass lines, don't be afraid of double notes. Why not? Something like that. And then I reckon this piece I really want as a fast swing, probably, because it sounds a bit boring here. So 220 is a classic fast swing, but probably 210 maybe is where I could hear that going. I'd probably want this actually to be F and these guys to be MF. Something like that. Let me hit play. jazz. All right, I don't mind it. I love it. This thing here, you know, I'd probably fix this little phrase up, put some little chromaticism in there. But other than that, I reckon that piece is pretty much done, good to go. I reckon we're probably sitting somewhere on a B grade here. We would put an actual solo on. So here, in here, we'd put an actual solo section, and then we'd put the head at the end there, and that piece is ready to go. Okay, hope that was helpful, and I will see you soon.